Hey, I was about to go to sleep and I was not planning on making this, but I wanted to give a little update. I'm about 2 weeks, maybe 1 week into um, this. I'm like distracted by my hair looks weird right now. Um, about let's say 9, 10 days ago, I was like, I know I'm about to undergo something big psychologically. And I knew that because I had become aware of my truth, of like what is true for me in this moment, what feels like it is resonating with me. And I made a video about it. And that was about 10 days ago, I'm sure. Um, and it was all about like what is true for me and what do I do with that basically. And I knew there was grief. I think I knew there was grief. Um, and that my main feeling day to day was like, oh, like there's this heaviness, there's this grief, like this isn't how my life should be. It's not how my life should have gone. Um, I used to have all these things that I don't have anymore, and I wish I did, and I miss them, and all these bad things happened, and they should have never happened, and blah blah blah. And if they didn't happen, I wasn't even thinking here's where I would be, but it was just like, this general, just like if bad things didn't happen, then everything would be great, right? Um, so that's where I was. I was kind of on the precipice of something. And I was like, I took, that was a Friday, and I took all Saturday, all Sunday, excuse me, whoa. So I took all Saturday, all Sunday, cleared the schedule, and said, I'm going to just do like what I was calling like a silent retreat, like in my apartment. Just like, I'm gonna focus on doing just this. And I did that, and it was helpful. And I had a couple big emotional releases using kind of like parts work exercises. And then it kind of started to get a little bit harder. And I was like, oh, like I'm not getting the emotional releases. Like I don't know what to do now. And I'm not a professional therapist or like healer or practitioner or anything. So I was like, okay. And I just listened, and I knew there was a lot of grief there that I wasn't accessing. And so I kind of asked the part, like, what do you want? How can I help? And the idea came to go buy like a workbook. So I went over to, I walked to the bookstore and just sat in front of the grief section on the ground, just like, all right, this is my life right now, accepting it. And a book stood out to me, and it was the Invisible Loss book that I have right here, by Christina Rasmussen. And I'm pretty sure, I'm like, maybe I have shown you this before, but maybe not. I definitely made a TikTok about it, but it was fascinating. I'm actually not done yet, but it was a different framework that was similar to parts work, but different enough that it was really helpful for me. And I worked through it, and I did the exercises, and I came to really like two big conclusions. One was a big one, and then the other one kind of came next, kind of like logically next. And like each, I don't know, it was a nice, like kind of easy thing to follow, more or less. And I have all the journal, it was a lot of journaling. And so the journals I have in my, on my computer, kind of in a file. So if I can go back and look at those if necessary. But anyway, since then, what I'm noticing is a lot of the things that I was blocked about before, I was trying to think about them, right? I was trying to like be like, I'm starting this business or I'm running this business, and it's not, like there's this piece and that piece and this piece, and like how do they all fit together, and how can I like make it all work? And it didn't really make sense, and I was just kind of trying to like cognitively come up with an answer. And there was a lot of fear involved because I was like, there was this big, like heavy, I was describing it at the time of like a weighted blanket on me, where I'm like, dude, I'm not going to be able to come up with any like legitimate solution when everything I think about, I have, a bunch of voices in my head being like, don't do that. That's scary. Like, you're not going to be good at that. That's not going to work. You should just keep your regular job and just keep doing that forever. Like those kind of voices. And it's like, okay, it makes sense that I needed to like feel those feelings first and get to the bottom of those. But back to what I was just saying, what I noticed is when I cleared up that emotional energy and actually felt those stuck feelings, which did suck, but really didn't take all that much time. I mean, less than a week, and maybe really only like a couple days of like feeling really shitty, to be honest. I'm already noticing that the solution to my non-emotional problem, the business building and like creating, like what do I want that to look like, and the lifestyle, and how am I gonna get all of this stuff done, and why am I even doing this, and what do I want out of this? Those things are more or less just falling into place. Like the clarity coming through is so palpable and like visceral and real that I guess this is just how creativity is without fear, which makes sense, I guess. But it's really, really cool. It's really, really cool that like, it just is kind of further evidence for me in my world that focusing on the internal world creates exponential growth outside in the external world, like in the realm of like my actual life and doing the things that I want to do. Maybe I could have gotten that another way without having to focus on the internal, but I'm like, free up the internal, focus on the internal, inside out approach, and then the out takes care of itself once the internal is all squared away. And I'm definitely not done with that. Like there's a big part of the book is like, keep doing this exercise, like continue doing it, make sure that it is like becomes a habit. I've noticed in my life, like 2 to 4 weeks of doing something every day really does turn it into a habit for me. Like it's, if I can get through that first month of doing it, like it kind of will happen on its own after that. So I've done the exercise every day since I started. So I'm going to continue doing that. But yeah, I just wanted to note that. But now I'm getting excited about doing the external stuff because I'm like, oh, like, I'm having all these ideas and blah, blah, blah. But really I'm like, let's make sure we get the internal, like actually like really solid first. So this is a good reminder for me that like the internal is most important. We can write down the answers. We can write down, we can journal about the external stuff, but I don't want to actually be diving into that until the internal work is like, I want to be focusing on the internal, and the external will take care of itself, even though it's exciting, even though that's, kind of where the big excitement is. It's really like I want to make sure I think of internal work as like getting a filling for a cavity. Like when you go to the dentist, which is funny because I actually did get some fillings this past week. But when you have a cavity, there's decay of the tooth. And it doesn't mean the tooth is, dead or that it's bad or that it's wrong, but it's like something is hurting this tooth. And it's going to continue hurting if you don't get in there and help it. And so what you need to do when you get a filling, what they do is they numb you up, right? Which in this analogy, emotionally, we don't want to be numbed, but they like drill into the tooth and they're like, okay, wherever there was this decay, we're going to get all of it out. And they have to get like literally all of it out, because if they even leave a little bit in there, it's going to multiply and it's going to create a worse problem. It's going to be as if you didn't do any work at all, right? So you got to get all the decay out, and you got to even sometimes go overboard with like drilling even deeper than the decay even was, just to make super sure it's gone. Then they clean it all up, and then they fill and put something else on top of it that is, in this analogy, kind of like our new belief system or our new way of viewing myself, or whatever that thing is, the kind of like new healed mindsets and beliefs and behaviors. So I like that. I've actually had a lot of cavities in my life and a lot of dental work, and so that's kind of an apt analogy for me. And I actually have become grateful for all of, I used to hate going to the dentist and I used to hate getting fillings, but I'm like, dude, the alternative is like your mouth is completely destroyed. And like in this analogy, it's like, yeah, it's not super fun to do all this like internal emotional work, but you have spiritual cavities, and you just do. Like, you can deny that, but they're just gonna get worse and turn into, spiritual dead, root canal needing whatever, which is just like, it's just making the problem way, way worse, is my point. So sometimes you gotta sit in the damn chair and get the filling, and it feels bad, it feels like punishment, it feels like it's not worth it, but in reality, that's feeling the filling, is that something? Is the exact thing that needs to happen. And as soon as that happens, you have your functioning, healthy tooth again, and it's off to the races when it comes to chewing. Okay, this analogy has fallen off the rails, but that's what I wanted to share. I am hesitant to share things before they're finished, but this feels good to share, and I want everyone to know that healing is possible, and that there are resources out there to help, like this book, Invisible Loss, that I am endorsing for me and people like me. So anyway, it's been interesting. I bet there's going to be a lot more to come on this, but yeah, that's where I am right now. That's the update. All right, talk to you later. Bye.